Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LOCUS Golden Hour podcast. This podcast is all about sharing stories, advice, tips, and all things surrounding university and student life. My name is Lina. I'm one of your hosts for this podcast, and today I'm here with Morgan. Morgan, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, guys. So like Lina said, my name is Morgan, and I'm going into my third year at Laurier. I'm doing psychology, doing some minors, hopefully leadership and education, as long as I can get my classes all in. And this year I'm going to be the LOCUS House Council Advisor on the Waterloo campus. So I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here today with us, Morgan. To start us off, we kind of have been asking our guests a fun little question for a little icebreaker. So today, our little question is, what are your thoughts on mint chocolate chip ice cream? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts?
I definitely hate it. I have like mixed on like mint in general. Like I can do mint toothpaste, but like mint and food, I just don't think should mix in general. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's other like mint ice cream. I don't know. Mint gum, I can kind of do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely no on mint ice cream. I used to work at Dairy Queen and I'd have to like squirt the mint into like the mint Oreo and I was like gagging. I hated it. It
Oh
was
no.
so, yeah. I'm
I
like, oh, I hated it even more after that.
No way. I'm with you on that. I'm not a big fan of it. I know some people love it. I just
Mhm.
can't. I totally agree. I'm just like, it's just a toothpastey. Like I
Ah.
just don't think they go well together. So it's a no for me too. Well, that's awesome. So today, our topic of the day is kind of like getting involved. So, when you come into your first year, there's a lot to think about, academic, social life. And today we're going to talk about, how to get involved with like clubs on campus, organizations or like work, like how, I guess, this is a very broad question, but for everyone listening out there, first year students, how can they get involved? How can they join clubs? How can they kind of get that first step into this whole new world?
I feel like definitely I felt really overwhelmed. Like it feels like there's a million things that you can do. And it's like, how do you know which one you're going to like? And how do you know which one's going to be the right time commitment? Like the people that you want to be around. Because I came from like a really small high school and there was basically like two clubs. There was sports teams and like one student council. And that was like, so really there was no like options. So I was like really overwhelmed with the amount of options. But then once I framed it in like a good way, it's like I have all these things that I can choose from. Like there's got to be so many that I'm going to love. So I feel like that's something that people can keep in mind. Like there's definitely something that they're going to like. I feel like for me, or like my biggest piece of advice would be that your like OCAs and like all the LOCUS staff during O week are going to like just be sending so much information about all of them. Like I feel like
Yeah.
we get annoying sometimes, but like people are always like, how am I gonna find the clubs? But like I feel like if you just be like if you're patient and you try to like follow the accounts that they tell you and like do like a little bit of research, like they're gonna come to you at least is one thing I would say. Like I feel like you don't really have to do as much digging as it might seem like you have to. Because we really try and make it easy so you don't have to feel overwhelmed with like researching and stuff like that.
For sure. I think the OCAs will definitely, like, if you check our social media and you're following
Yeah.
like accounts, they're usually like people post hiring, people post recruiting for general members all the time. So definitely check
Yeah.
out social media. And Morgan, thinking back on your first year, like what did you get involved in or how did you get started? What did you do?
Yeah, so I did a couple different things in first year. I joined intramurals. So I did volleyball intramurals with my residents because I stayed in residence first year. So I played against other residents and Locus so volleyball, it was like once a week, I think. So that was really fun. And I liked that because it was like a different group of people. It just seemed to be, I don't know if that was just my experience with like who signed up, but like there were some people I'd never met. So I liked that one just for like that whole new group of people that I got to be exposed to. And then I joined House Council, which is I feel like why I'm here now, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
But I was really nervous and I wasn't gonna apply. because I was like, I feel like it was just overwhelmed. Like I didn't want to pick anything yet. So I was just like waiting to see like kind of what happened. And then my Dawn was like convinced me to do it, which is funny now because now I'm like so excited and passionate about it. But like I just wasn't sure what it was. And then once she like gave me all the information, I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna try that. So I applied and I was actually a community rep for the first semester and I had a lot of fun. Like I had like a lot of things planned for my floor and like we went out for supper. I think we did like pumpkin carving it was or something like fall like walk thing we did. So I did that. And then the second semester, our president like stepped down or like wasn't going to continue the position. So I got to take over that, which was a really cool opportunity. And I think that's cool because now I have like the perspective of both. So like I have the perspective of the community rep and of the president. So that was really cool. I'm glad like I didn't just start as president. It was really fun to do both things. And then I think the only other thing when I was trying to prepare for this that I could think of was I also helped in residence. They asked for volunteers for the open house. So like I did tours of the residence building during the open house for like prospective students. So I really love that. And I actually was like signed up and registered to do like the whole campus tours for like the second one. So I think they do it twice a year. So then the second one, I really like the tours of the building enough that I wanted to do it for like the whole campus and they take volunteers. But then COVID hit and it got canceled. But I was signed up to do that too. So there's like all these random things that pop up that once you get involved in one thing, then they ask you to do another thing. So I feel like it just snowballs really well. But yeah, I definitely started with House Council. I think the reason that I actually got involved in intramurals was because everyone on House Council was doing it. So I know I'm biased, but I feel like that is a good spot to start and at least looking at it.
For sure, I know House Counsel usually hiring gets promoted very early. So I
Mhm.
know as the first year, I remember my off-campus advisor was telling me you should apply to this, and I was like, this is the first week
I
of
know.
classes. What is going on? And I was like, what is this? And so, Morgan, for people who are listening who have no idea what House
Mhm.
Counsel is, do you mind explaining kind of what that is in the first year leadership program?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best. It's a lot to explain. Lena and I were just saying it's like very hard until you're in it to like really explain because it's like a lot of things overlap and like yeah, it's very hard to explain for me, but I'm
You
gonna
got
try my
this.
best.
You got this.
So, so if you hear FYLP, that's the first year leadership program. So in the program, it kind of stems into two. There's councils, and then there's the leadership certificate. They stay pretty separate. So their certificate, I've got some information on here about it. So definitely more information usually comes out a little bit later than like council. So if you don't see it for a while and you're interested in that, like don't be worried that you like missed it because it's definitely after they hire the councils and stuff. I don't have an exact date, but it will be like showered everywhere also. So don't be worried about it.
Mhm.
But essentially what they call it or how like they've worded it is it's a series of interactive workshops that encourage students to explore their own leadership style and the impact that they can have on their community. So that's like a very fancy way of saying it, but it's about 10 hours of participation. Like that's just the workshops. And then there's a final capstone project that kind of pulls everything together and you can show like what you've learned and stuff. And it's offered once each term, so twice a year. So if you're like worried and you just want to see how maybe just wait it out and see how like if you're still interested in doing it kind of thing, you can definitely wait till the winter. So don't be worried about that either. And then one of the other cool things is that the certificate can be added onto students' LERs, which is their Laurier experience record. So that's a really good experience to have on there too. Yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, for those who don't know what the LER is,
Yeah.
essentially it's a record of everything you've done at Laurier. So whether it be certificates that you got from workshops or house council, like Morgan was talking about, you can add all of that there. And then when you're applying to jobs or you just want to remember what you did, you can
That's
look
what I
back.
use it for. I literally before the podcast was like, I think I'm gonna go on my LER and see what I had because it feels like so long ago.
Exactly, exactly. Like I feel like a lot of students, you do a lot of things, and it's easy to forget like what you've done. Maybe like in first year you do something, and then second year just you do something new, right? So like you have all of these experiences, and it obviously, it says by year, you get to reflect on what you've done. So like
Hmm.
you can really kind of remember, oh yeah, I did that. Because half the things I forgot what I did,
I
right?
know. It's nice. Like it's all in one spot. And I feel like it's very like official. Like I feel like employers and stuff definitely think that it's like very official and it looks fancy to me. I'm like, oh, I have an experience record. I don't know. I think it's something that it's cool that Laurier does that.
For sure. It sounds very like fancy for
I
sure.
know.
What about the second half? So like how like councils
Mhm.
essentially.
Okay, this is where it might get messy. So all of the councils kind of like interlock together. So there's house councils and there's the house council for each residence building. And then this year there's just one for all of Locus. That's one thing that I know last year some students got confused. So even though they have their community, this is like a separate additional thing that students from all the different communities are going to join together. So that might help with some of the confusion. But so one overall for Locus, but then there's different ones for each residence. So that kind of creates like what house council is known to be. And then there's also campus councils. So I think there's 6. So there's Arts Council, Community Outreach Council, Diversity and Equity Council, Athletic and Wellness Council, Sustainability Council are the 6. And then, yeah, we'll just leave it like that. And then I'll talk about the Waterloo Leadership Council at the end. So then those 6 councils, they all have an additional meeting on Tuesday nights. I guess I should go back. House council meetings are on Wednesday nights at 10. So then campus council meetings are on Tuesday nights at 10. So if you were a campus council rep, you would go to both of those meetings. And campus councils, you can tell by like the names, they have like a theme, and it's definitely like something that students are interested in, and they're coming together about like because of their passions that they have for like the theme of the council. So that's something that's really cool if you're interested in any of those themes. Um, so how it works, I guess, is on each house council, I'm just going to go down here to my notes. So it starts at the top. There's going to be a president on each house council, and then there's 3 vice presidents. There's a vice president of marketing and engagement, a vice president of operations, and a vice president of training and development. And that makes up the executive team. And there's like lots more information that comes out about like what all the jobs do, because I'm not going to go through all that, but just kind of a little spoiler of what there is. And then there is also a rep for each of the campus councils on the house councils. So our LOCUS House Council this year will have 1 arts council rep. So they'll come to our house council meetings and they'll be like the arts rep, that's their title on our council. And then they'll also go to their arts council meeting on Tuesday nights. So that's where it starts to get messy and it all interlocks. So there's those also like those additional 6 positions. And then there's also going to be community reps, which make up the bulk of the council. And so you will have a community with your OCA this year in Locus, and you'll have a number and everything, and that will be like unique to you. And so for each community, we'll have 1 community rep that will represent you guys in your group. So that will mean like you will take information like back and forth with the council to your community, and then like vice versa. If your community has a really good idea that you want to bring to the council, you'll share information about like upcoming dates and events and stuff with them. So that's a really cool like opportunity to also connect with more people in your community too, not just the council.
Awesome. Thanks, Bort. That was a lot to digest, to be honest. I think you did a great job at explaining all of
It is
that.
a lot.
It is a lot. If for people listening, if that just went over your head, if you were
I
confused, don't
know.
worry. I know like when I was like my OCA was explaining that to me, I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Do you mind repeating
What?
that?"
Yeah.
Um there's going to be
Sure.
more information. Check out our Instagram, Locus Laurier and WLU_Locus. There's going to be a lot more information about House Council. Um, there's going to be more about it from your OCs as well. So feel free to, check that out a bit later. Um, but, let's just like talk about this in general. Like, why would someone want to join House Council? Or like, why is it so great? I was also on House Council. I loved it so much. I know everyone who's been on it like has such a blast. So like, why would a first year student want to join House Council?
It's literally so many people's like highlight of their first year. I've heard so many people say that. Like people in fourth year will still be like, Hawk Weekend was like my favorite part of like Laurier, or even just like being on House Council was like my favorite experience I had at Laurier. So I feel like that's so cool that people who have had like 4 years of experience still go back to that. There's a lot of different reasons that it is like super beneficial in a lot of different ways. I think like the whole idea of like making different connections, and there's so many like relationships that you'll build with upper year students, but also a lot of first year students and a lot of Locus first year students if you're looking to meet other students that are living off campus and are in first year. So that's really cool. So yeah, you'll see them like once a week minimum. So like you're gonna start to get to know these people. Will be doing like icebreakers and lots of like after the meeting like chats and like socials, like all those opportunities for you to connect with them too, like outside of the council. So I think that's like definitely one reason a lot of people will join. And then also there's so many like personal leadership development opportunities, like, and even if you don't sign up for the actual certificate, in the meetings, like we talk about leadership philosophies and values, and like you really learn a lot more about yourself. Like I was on student council in high school and I was like, oh yeah, like I know what leadership is. And like, I feel like I'm kind of a leader. And then I'm like,
Uh,
I've literally never heard of any of these like really cool things that I feel like really helped me improve like my leadership. And now I know how it's not like something that you just try to achieve and then like you're there. It's always like I guess it's like a journey still. Sounds very like but I feel like it is. And I feel like House Council is like what made me like view leadership like that. So there's definitely a lot of personal development too. So I feel like that's kind of the two pillars like I see in myself at least too. Like it was a personal development in terms of like my leadership, and then a lot of like social development. Like I made so many friends, and like most of the people that I still talk to were on my residence house council. So I don't know about you too. If you like, do you still talk to people from your house council? Yeah.
Oh
I feel
yeah,
like
for
everyone
sure.
does.
It's so funny because like I mean I lived off campus and I was in my locus house council, and I just remember like you said, like the social aspect. I met so many great friends. I still talk to them to this day. Some of my best friends actually I met in council, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's just such a great way to get to know people, and you have that like circle of people who, also live off campus, or if you're in residence, you're in residence. And
Mhm.
so it's just such a great way to kind of like step in and kind of
Yeah.
like, you have that, Locus is a family. I like to say that a
Yeah.
lot. Like if you are an off-campus student and you're part of Locus, like, and if you like come out to our events, like I think you'll really see how much of a family we are and how tight knit of a community we are. And so I definitely would recommend just joining and even applying and just seeing where it takes you.
Yeah,
Because you
it's
never
a really
know.
good experience to apply. Like, I feel like that was even like my house council interview, I feel like was the first like very official interview. Not scary, but just like I'd never really done a interview like that for a job or anything in high school. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's a very a good experience to have. Like even though it's early on, like it kind of sets you up for like how future like clubs and work and all those different experiences, like you have that in your back pocket now to like go back to. And I definitely feel like it's good to even yeah like go through that process, even if you like don't end up accepting or you don't end up getting a position. It's a really cool opportunity to apply.
Exactly. I remember like leaving, I was like, oh man, I didn't really do well on my interview. Or like, I don't know how to feel about this. And then I ended up getting a position and I was like super happy. I know it wasn't actually my first choice, but it ended up being super good for me in terms of like time commit. I was a community
Yeah.
representative. The time commitment was great. Like I loved what I did. I loved
Mhm.
connecting with my community. And so
Yeah,
it just everything ends up working out. So
exactly.
like, again, whether you don't decide to accept or even if you don't get a position, like I would say just go for it. You never know what's going to happen. And like I think I like to say, like, you're saying it kind of led you to all these opportunities now. Like both like Morgan and I were in house council and now we're like locus executives, which is
No,
crazy.
it's
I feel
so
like
weird.
we've grown through so much. We were both
I
OCAs
feel old
last year.
now when you say
Yeah,
that.
I know. Well, we're kind of, we're entering our third year. Both of us are entering our third year, and
Yeah.
so we're like looking back and it's a lot of time has passed, and so
So
but we still
sad.
really think about that. We still think about Hawk Weekend and all of our great memories. So honestly, 10 out of 10 would recommend
10 out
getting
of 10.
involved.
100%. I feel like, yeah, I can't even like put it into words. I just think it's so important. It's so
Hopefully we convince you to apply, but if anything, let's talk about some time commitments, because I feel like
yeah.
everyone wants to know, like, how do you balance that? Because obviously, like, school always comes first, but sometimes you want to get involved, or like maybe you're nervous about handling that. How did you find, the transition and balancing that?
I definitely it's a change, but I didn't find it like too overwhelming. I found like my advisor was always super like considerate, and if we ever had like anything that came up, like you're still committed to the council, but like definitely if anything ever happened where we had something like really big coming up, like academic or family wise or anything, like obviously they were very accommodating and stuff like that. And I feel like even if I didn't need to have like use that, it just knowing that that was there, and that as long as we were there as much as we could and we were committed, that like I don't know, it took like some stress off of me knowing that they were like very considerate of all of that stuff. So I feel like coming into first year, I just was this like, I don't know how strict everything is and it's very scary. So like I get that.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like I guess in terms of like the actual commitment, it is like meetings. So there's depending on the position, as long as like everyone knows there's going to be meetings. They're usually at most of the meetings are at 10 p.m. Just like a lot of them in university are because that's when everyone's out of classes. So it sounds really late, but like you don't feel like it when you're there because like once you get into school, that's not late.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't get overwhelmed by like it being at 10 o'clock. So yeah, but
Yeah.
then yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about like exactly how many hours everyone would have of like time commitment, but it's definitely not overwhelming. Like I used a lot of different things to make sure I kept track of all of my meetings. Like I had lots of calendars and lists, and I would use like reminders on my phone. Like I use a lot of those typical things. And like once I utilize that and like definitely checking in with my advisor, like my advisor was really good to be like, how are you feeling with like the commitment? We do like one-on-ones once a semester. So it was really good. I remember a lot of my one-on-one, like, and especially in the fall semester was like spent talking about like how everyone, like how I was handling like the commitment and like with my school and stuff. So they're all there to like support you through the like commitment, and they want you to be on the council. So they're obviously going to want you to be successful like as a student and as a council member. So I found that that was really helpful for me too.
For sure. I think like, if you're applying to either clubs, house council, whatever it is, like they will be pretty upfront with like your time commitments, or like can give you an estimate. If you want to get involved, it is doable. I know everyone's super different. Maybe like if you want to focus on like academics in the first semester, that's totally cool. And then you can like maybe join a club in the winter, or maybe get started with one or even two. Like everyone's very different, but we're telling you it is very doable.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, if you want to like get involved, I definitely recommend it. And if you manage your time, it's very much possible. So definitely getting involved. I feel like it's gonna help you as well, like balancing academics, because it's kind of something outside. It gives you something to kind of like instead of just focusing on studying all the time, it's like
I
that
know you get a
break.
break, like it's your break. And
Mhm.
I feel like it helps with like, you're not always thinking about it. Like it's just refreshing for me to like, like when I was in first year, I found it so refreshing to like, because mine was in person at the time. It was like, go down, get out of my room, like be able to actually see like other people. And like, I always found it so refreshing. And I would get like more work done after that meeting. I felt
Yeah.
like so productive. I was like, which sounds funny, but I was tired, but I was so like, everyone's energy gets you all like going. So I was always super productive after the meetings, which is kind of funny.
I totally agree. I remember like 10 o'clock like seems pretty late, but like even if I was tired that day, I would go to the meetings, and then we have such a like fun
I
meeting that
know.
like I literally come out smiling, that little
Yeah.
dose of like happiness after my
I
meeting.
know.
And it was like 11 p.m. and I was like walking home and I was just like smiling, like, I don't know. It was crazy, but yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it was just always a highlight of my week. I would always like look
I would
forward
look
to our
forward to
meetings.
it for sure.
Yeah.
My
So
face always hurt. It's funny that you said the smiling. Like, I swear I remember like going up to my room and being like, why does my face hurt? But I was just like laughing and smiling at everyone. And so it's a good problem.
yeah, that's so funny. I think a lot of people agree with that because you're always laughing with your counsel and you're always having fun, joking around. So
Yeah.
obviously doing important stuff too,
We get
obviously.
stuff done.
Yeah, we plan events and stuff, we get stuff done.
I think I looked at the plan that we have, and it's about once a month we do an event, if that helps with like planning and stuff like that. But yeah, that's like, I guess I would say like in the meetings, the two main things is like personal, like leadership development and like collaboration, kind of we focus on that. And then the other thing is planning events for the LOCUS first year population. So that's a really cool opportunity. So it's like first years planning events for first years, and then you'll be there when you facilitate the events. Then you also get to meet all of the first years that attend the event. So you're meeting not only the council, but even more first years. Some of them might be from your community, which is really cool if you encourage them to come. And then other ones will be from other communities that you would have never had a chance to like interact with. So I always thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, I think it's always so fun to see how like creative all the students get. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, like we were a part of that like in our first year, but like, and then like becoming an OCA, seeing that happen, like I feel like every year, students just get better and better with all these creative
I
ideas,
know. I want
and
to
it's so
like
fun.
say some of the cool one. Like I'm like trying to think of some examples, but like none of them I feel like are like the really cool, unique ones. But like I feel like some of the things we've done are just like movie nights, and like I know I'm starting to think of like ones that I did last year with my council, but like we did like writing cards to people and like different in the
Painting.
community. And yeah, it was, I'm trying to think of one I did in first year to tell a story, but I don't have a good one.
I always think of Mocino for Locus when we, or like
But it
we
is
did
a
a
hit.
yeah, Mocino. So Mocino is like a really big one that Locus always does. It's a legacy one, so we do it every single year. And it's like a casino themed night. It's always a big hit. Um, I remember we did like a cat themed one, which was like related with the
Really?
residences, like all the cat mascots. So we had
I love that.
WCH, they're the Wildcats, we're the Locust Lynx. And then we had King Street residents who are the Lions. So it was all the, I guess, cats of the
The
jungle.
jungle. Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
that called? Yeah, now that's coming
Yeah.
back to me. I remember hearing something about that.
So
The
we had an
jungle.
event. We collaborated with the other house council. So I got to meet other students in house council on their residence council, and it was just so fun because again, I just like love meeting new people and getting to
I know.
obviously plan these fun events. And so I think we did like some trivia. We did like a
Yeah.
dance off kind of
We did
thing.
a
It was
really
fun.
fun, I know it's typical too, but like karaoke,
Oh yeah.
we had such a bomb karaoke session. Like it was probably my favorite event we did. It was so simple, but like the amount of people we had and everyone was like going all out. So we had a really fun karaoke. So I feel like, yeah, but there's definitely like super creative ones too that I can't even think of right now. But like literally nothing is off the table, I feel like there's
Yeah.
no like very strict event where they like tell you what you need to, like it's all up to the first year students. So I think it's a really
Yeah.
cool opportunity too.
That
That
was so funny. That reminded me of the time. So when I was on council, we were trying to do like a carnival themed like event, and then I was like, "Can we get a slam dunk like the thing where like someone sits there and then
yeah.
you like throw the ball?" And like we're just searching up the prices. It was really expensive, but we're like, we kind of have the budget for that. We're like, and then we ended up not doing it, but like we like none of your ideas would be put down. Obviously, if
Yeah.
it's like feasible, everyone will try to like come up together, and then that kind of sparked other people's ideas, and then we were able to kind of come up with something more feasible and affordable. But yeah, I thought that was really funny because we were just like, let's go to bouncy castle, and then we're like,
Yeah.
I don't think we can do that, but good idea.
It's always a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
so
funny. I
that's
love that.
yeah, that was really funny. I think we were trying to be like, oh, let's like get the OCAs to like
Mhm.
pie them or something for this carnival event and like raise money or something. So that was funny.
I feel like also, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I think like while we talk about the events, it's also like a good point to mention like people listening, maybe you're not interested in house council at all, or maybe you end up you don't get a position or you don't like want a position that's offered to you. You totally are still like you should still come to all of the events. Like that's what they're there for. So even though you might not be on the council, there's still so many ways to be involved like in the FYLP. So that's like a big way. Like it's super fun. You get to participate in all the events, you meet people on the council and also like from different communities that are also off campus first year. So I feel like even just keep that in mind, like later in the semester, if you see a post about a house council event, like just keep that in mind and consider coming because it will be super fun.
Yes, for sure. And that kind of relates to like kind of all the events hosted by either like the SU or like FYLP. Like go, I think getting involved also means like participating in any
Yes.
events that's being held.
Yeah.
Going to like bingo nights at like Wilf's if those are still happening in
Mm.
person. Like
Yeah.
literally just try to like there's a lot that's going on. So like it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. I
But if
always
you
feel like I want to go to bingo. I want to go to trivia. And it's like that's
yeah.
every night of this week. I'm going to be at Wells if I go to all of it.
Exactly. It might feel overwhelming, but like if you see something that you're interested in and like you have the time, like definitely check it out and you might find something you really love. And
Yeah.
then you can like start doing that. So like I mean getting involved doesn't necessarily mean joining a club or like
Mhm.
being in a position, but it could just be coming to events for sure.
Definitely. And it's not, if you're nervous about like a time commitment or even just like a commitment in general that you have to stick with it once you go to one thing, like that's not what it's going to be. So if you're attending events, it's like you have like this opportunity to try all different ones. If you don't like one, you just don't go back and you try something else that you like seem might be interesting. So I feel like it's cool that if you're nervous about like your time management or anything like that, that's maybe like a good place to start. And then it could lead to like another opportunity that you might really enjoy too.
For sure. And like talking about just I guess more like in general, like clubs and like organizations, I think a lot of clubs hire like general members. So like as a general member, your time commitment like super like very much low. Like you come to events or like maybe come to a meeting like an hour, but you don't have to do much except for like participate in that
Yeah.
club's event. So like that's definitely low commitment. I would say check out like the club fair at the beginning of the year and they have so many, like over 200
Yeah.
clubs.
It's
I
crazy.
remember going in my first year. I don't know, Morgan, if you remember, like I went on and it was in person, so I was in the on the alumni field and I like was writing down all like the clubs I wanted to go to.
That's
I had
so
like a list
cute.
of like 10 and I'm like,
Oh my
obviously
gosh.
I can't join like 10. Like
Yeah.
that's obviously like too much. So I remember like what do I choose? I was like, oh no, I like all of these. And I like wrote my name to like get the email or whatever. And then I was like, okay, now I have to like pick and choose
Yeah, I
now.
know. It is really overwhelming, but I feel like it's just such a good problem to have. I guess just from coming from a small high school, I just feel like that's like I have to be like, this is so amazing though, because I had like none of those opportunities before. So I guess I'm just thankful that there's like so many different things. It's super cool.
Yeah, and what I really love too is like if you don't find a club that
I
is
love
for
this.
you, you
I
can
know.
make your own club. Like what?
That
Even
is
like
so
you
cool.
can apply to make your own club. You can be the president and get like some members and like that's amazing. Like you can
Mhm.
literally start anything. I think there's so many different clubs that like I was like, wow, like I didn't even know this club was a
I
club.
know.
Um but yeah, so you can really be creative and like make your own club if you wanted
Like
to.
I swear, don't quote me on it, but I swear there's like a sushi club or something. Like there's like
Oh,
all these things. Like if you are, there's no way that like you cannot find something because you've got to be passionate about like one of these random 200 things. I swear, like it's crazy.
exactly.
I don't even
Exactly.
like sushi, but like that one always stuck with me. I was like, why did we have a sushi club? Like it felt so
Yeah.
cool.
What do they do? Do they just eat
I
sushi?
think they like, I don't know if they like rate it. I literally have no idea. I just remember one time someone used that as like a fact, like, oh, well, we have a sushi club or
Yeah.
something like that. It was really funny.
The one that stuck out to me was like there was like a planning club. Like I
Really?
love like planning and like bullet journaling, like agenda,
That's
like
so
whatever.
cool.
And I remember like they were like, "Oh yeah, we just like meet together and like plan out our weekend, like make it aesthetic." Like I don't know, like I don't know. I always see
Yes,
like
I
the
love that.
aesthetic,
I'm
like,
all over
yeah.
all of what I can
Yes.
see what you're
Yeah, I'm
I
trying to
feel the
just
vibe.
describe it. I'm trying to like the people who like take their time with like all the colors and like the
Yes.
tape. Yeah, there I was like, I'm not very good at that, but like I would love to join. I didn't end up joining
Yeah,
it, but I remember like in the club fair, I was like, this is cool.
that is cool. I never heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the people you need to like surround yourself with. I feel like
Yeah,
they'd
yeah.
be such a good influence. They'd keep you right on track.
Exactly. I was like, there's a club for that. But yeah, there's a club for literally anything and everything.
Like
So
nothing is out of the box.
for sure. What about like working during school? Like that's another, I guess, part of getting involved. Like, have you maybe had a job on campus or during school off campus?
Yeah, I had a job. I started it just before COVID hit and we got sent home. So I actually only worked there for like a month and a bit, I think, but I did have like a little bit of experience trying to balance like a job and also like your extracurriculars and then academics too. It starts to become a lot. But yeah, I didn't work a lot of hours. I worked at the Laurier library. I guess I should mention that, but I got excited. But yeah, I didn't work a lot of hours, but I didn't find it very bad. Like because it's on campus too, at least I've heard from other people that work on campus, a lot of the jobs are like super accommodating with like obviously school because they know everyone working there is a student, but like
Mhm.
anything like extracurriculars because like most people at Laurier are involved in something. So it's just like common. They're like, oh yeah, and like what other things we have to work around? Like they're very welcoming with like stuff like that. So that made it easy for me at least to like work around my schedule. And I also like I worked in the morning, so it wasn't bad for me to like I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. So I had a
Mhm.
really good experience working. It's nice to have like some extra cash,
Oh yeah, for
spending
sure.
money. So
Yeah, if
I
you
would highly recommend.
yeah, no, I agree. I also work on campus as a supplemental instruction leader. So I kind of like lead like review sessions. And so I worked like a maximum of like 10 hours per week. But it's super manageable. Again, like Morgan was saying, like they're very understanding if you work on campus because they know you're a student. And even working off campus, I would say like just
Yeah.
being, clear with your manager, like I am a student. I'm sure they would be super understanding about that. So if you do want or need to work or want to work during the year, like you can definitely do that. I know I started working in my second year, so um, like if you wanted to like maybe just do clubs in first year, that's totally cool. But I did have friends in first year that worked part time, so again, it's very much doable.
It is definitely doable, but also don't feel like you have to, like, if you want to work, don't feel like you have to like get a job in like September. Also, like, I feel like I thought like all the jobs will just come out in September. And if I don't get one, and then like the whole year is kind of, you know what I mean, accounted for. But like, I
Yeah.
feel like that's definitely not how it goes. Like, I always saw postings for like hiring randomly throughout the year. Like, I think I randomly started mine in like February of my first year or like the end of
Mhm.
January. So, also like it's okay to like wait a little bit, see if you think you can handle it, and then like go for it too. So that's at least what I did, and it worked out good.
Yeah, and I think that applies to a lot of clubs as well, right?
Yeah.
Like they do hiring in the winter. A lot of clubs accept general members like year round. Like you
Yeah,
can
like all the
come.
time. You just
Yeah,
tell them you're like, I want to join, and they're like, okay, yeah, you can join. We'd love that. So like
exactly.
it's not like a scary process to join for sure.
Exactly. There's no timeline and like you
Yeah.
need to get involved on September 1st, right?
There is a hard deadline.
Yeah, for sure. I think that covered a lot of things. Do you have anything else to add, Morgan?
I don't think so. I think in terms of house council, I know there was a lot of information, but I think the easiest thing to do right now, if you're like interested in it, is just follow the Instagram because that's going to be where like all the information and like all of the important stuff that you need to keep up with. And like, you don't really need to do anything right now. So if it's overwhelming, at least just doing that would be like the one thing that I would recommend if you're listening and you are interested. So I
Mhm.
think Lina said it, but it's at WLU_locus. So
I
just
will link
follow the,
that.
yes. So
I'll put
follow the
that in there.
Instagram. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited to get a hold of the Instagram and start posting stuff. So there'll be lots of information coming soon. So don't get overwhelmed for sure, is all I just wanted to say.
Yes, thank you, Morgan. And to wrap up our little podcast episode, do you have like any advice that you want to tell our listeners, or any general tips, or just anything, any last words you want to tell our listeners?
Oh, I feel like that's so general. The first thing I always say when anyone asks me about advice is just like get involved. So that seems silly to say right now on our like get involved podcast, but I honestly feel like that is like the advice I would give anyone, like family member that's going to university. I still tell them that like that is the best thing that I did in university. So I feel like definitely whatever that means to you, like I get it that it can mean different things to everyone, but just making sure that you feel like you're a part of the Laurier community. So that's what I would say.
Thanks, Morgan. I think that's awesome. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first. Get involved. Morgan said get involved, and everyone's saying get involved.
Copyright it. No.
Exactly. So thank you all for listening, and thank you, Morgan, for being here today. I loved being able to chat with you
Yeah.
about, and also if I felt so like nostalgic, like looking back
I
on like our
know.
experiences, and like we're in third year, so hopefully
So crazy.
everyone listening enjoyed that. Make sure you follow our podcast wherever you listen to us on. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, every single place you think. We're
That's so awesome.
probably on there. Make sure you leave a review if possible. And until next time, stay golden. Bye, everyone.
Bye.